She told her friends I was a temporary man, the kind of husband who'd fade out before next summer, and they all laughed. What they didn't know was that I'd already decided her year max would become tonight. That's when everything changed. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and tell me what you'd have done in my place. Because this story gets wild. It was 6:42 on a Friday evening when I pulled into the driveway, hands still sore from a 12-hour shift at the auto shop. The sun was low, streaking the sky orange and gold. I could already smell the faint trace of perfume before I even opened the door. The living room windows glowed warm. Laughter spilled through them, high-pitched, familiar. My wife, Kelly, was having one of her girls' nights. Normally, I'd just head straight to the garage, pop open a beer, and stay out of sight. But something in the laughter made me stop. It wasn't friendly. It was mocking. I eased the front door open and stood there in the hall, listening. Kelly's voice carried above the rest, sharp, amused, dripping with that confidence she saved for her friends. Honestly, she said, I give us a year. Maybe less. I can't keep babysitting someone who's stuck changing oil while I'm supposed to be living my best life. The women howled with laughter. One of them, her best friend, Erica, added, Girl, you should have left months ago. Another chimed in. She's just waiting for the right replacement. More laughter. I didn't move. My hands felt strangely steady, like every emotion had drained out and left only silence. Kelly continued, her tone theatrical. I mean, he's not a bad guy. But come on, ambition matters. I'm not 25 anymore. That earned another round of giggles and clinking glasses. For a moment, I thought about walking back out. Pretend I hadn't heard anything. Go grab a six-pack and sit in the truck until they left. But then I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. Tired eyes, grease-stained hands. A man who'd given everything and still wasn't enough. Something inside me shifted, slow and deliberate, like a gear locking into place. I stepped into the living room. The laughter cut off mid-note. Kelly turned first, her smile freezing in place. Oh, hey, honey. You're home early. She tried to sound casual, but her voice cracked. Long day. Long enough? I said evenly. I looked around at the three women staring at me. So a year, huh? Her friends went still, eyes darting anywhere but mine. Kelly's cheeks flushed. That was just a joke. We were talking about marriage stuff. Just venting. Venting, I repeated. You must have needed a good laugh then. I walked to the counter, set my keys down quietly. Here's the thing, Kel, you don't need a year. You've got tonight. After that, I'm done. She blinked like she hadn't heard right. What are you talking about? You said you wanted out eventually. So let's not waste time pretending. Erica opened her mouth to say something, then closed it fast. The other two were frozen. Kelly's voice went sharp, defensive. Don't be dramatic. We were just talking. No, I said. You were performing. There's a difference. I looked at the others. Thanks for being such a great audience. The air was thick with silence. Kelly stood up, her hands shaking slightly. Can we talk privately, please? Why? Your friends already got the highlights. Tom, she hissed, you're embarrassing me. I laughed, quietly, without humor. You did that yourself. For a moment, no one spoke. The women avoided my eyes like kids caught stealing. I turned and walked toward the stairs, leaving them in that heavy, awkward quiet. Kelly followed, her heels clicking fast. Where are you going? Packing, I said. You can't just walk out over one comment. One comment. I turned at the landing. You've been saying versions of that for months. I just finally heard it out loud. She stared, searching for something to say, but the truth had already been spoken. I grabbed my duffel from the closet, tossed in work clothes, a couple of t-shirts, socks, toothbrush. She kept talking, fast, desperate, full of excuses, but I didn't listen. I was too calm for that. When I came back downstairs, her friends were gone, leaving half-empty glasses on the table. Kelly stood by the door, mascara smudged, arms crossed like a child caught lying. Where are you even going? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. This is your home. I shook my head. No, Kelly. This is your stage. I'm just done playing the part. I walked out into the evening light. My old pickup was parked under the street lamp, dust on the hood, my reflection faint in the window. I sat inside for a long time before starting the engine, breathing deep, steady. The air smelled of cut grass and cheap wine. As I pulled out, I glanced in the mirror. Kelly stood in the doorway, backlit by the warm living room glow, small and uncertain for once. I didn't stop. The road stretched out ahead, wide and quiet. I didn't know where I'd sleep that night, but for the first time in years, I felt something like freedom stirring, quiet, strange, and powerful. I drove for a while with no destination, just letting the road swallow the noise in my head. The city lights blurred into long streaks, and I ended up at a cheap roadside inn about 20 minutes out of town. The neon sign flickered like it was barely hanging on, and the parking lot was nearly empty. I checked in under my name, paid in cash, and carried my bag up to a small room that smelled faintly of detergent and old air conditioning. The silence hit me hard, heavier than I expected. I dropped my duffel on the floor, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the blank wall for a long time. My phone buzzed, once, twice, then 10 times in a row. Her name filled the screen. Missed calls, unread messages. I didn't open them. I turned the phone face down on the nightstand and just breathed. The hum of the air conditioner became my only company. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel: anger, sadness, maybe both, but mostly it was just exhaustion. Not from work this time, but from years of trying to hold something together that had been falling apart long before tonight. After a while, I got up, poured some lukewarm water from the tap, and splashed my face. The mirror above the sink showed a man I barely recognized. Red eyes, jaw clenched, shoulders heavy. I sat back down on the bed and stared at the phone again, wondering if I should at least read what she'd said. Curiosity won. I flipped it over and scrolled. The messages came in waves. First outrage, then guilt, then panic. "You're overreacting. It was just a joke. Please come home. I'm sorry. We can talk about this." I didn't reply. I wasn't sure there was anything left to say. The last one came in at 1:14 a.m. "Please don't do this to us." I locked the screen and set it aside again. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was the one doing something to us. She'd already done it. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the thin curtains, cutting a bright line across the worn carpet. I showered, dressed, and grabbed some coffee from the lobby machine. It was bitter, but it did the job. I checked my phone again. 30 missed calls, a dozen new messages. Most were from Kelly, but one name stopped me cold. Erica. I hadn't expected that. She was the one who'd been sitting next to her on the couch, the one laughing the loudest. The text was short. "We need to talk. About last night." I stared at it for a long time before typing back, "What about it?" The reply came fast. "Can I call you? It's important." A few seconds later, the phone rang. I hesitated, then answered. Her voice came through soft, almost nervous. "Hey, Tom. Thanks for picking up." I said nothing, waiting. "Listen," she continued. "I feel awful about what happened last night. It got out of hand. But you need to know something. Kelly wasn't just venting. She's been planning to end things for months. She wanted to push you into leaving so she could make it look like you abandoned her." I stood up, pacing. "What are you talking about?" She sighed, low and shaky. "She met with a lawyer weeks ago. She's been documenting everything, your arguments, your hours at work, even your spending. She wants to use it against you in a divorce. She told us last night after a few glasses of wine. Thought it was funny." The room seemed smaller suddenly. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Because it was wrong," Erica said quietly. "She humiliated you in front of everyone. I couldn't stop thinking about it after you left. You don't deserve that." I leaned against the window, watching the parking lot below. "Does she know you're calling me?" "God, no," she whispered. "She'd lose it if she found out. But you need to protect yourself." "I'm serious, Tom. She's got screenshots of your bank account, messages she twisted to look bad, even a recording of one of your arguments. She's been building a case." I exhaled slowly. "You're sure about this?" "Positive. I can send you the text she showed us last night." She thought it was funny how clever she was being. A moment later, my phone buzzed again. Photos, messages, screenshots. Kelly's name all over them. I scrolled in disbelief, reading her words. She'd told her lawyer I was distant, unmotivated, maybe even verbally harsh. Lies built carefully, one on top of another. Erica's voice came back through the speaker. "I'm sorry, Tom. I should have said something sooner. You're saying she wanted me to leave so she could call it abandonment?" "Exactly. She said it'd look better in court. Her lawyer told her that if she played it right, she could keep the savings, maybe even your truck." I let out a dry laugh. "Well, I guess I ruined her plan by not screaming or throwing anything." "Yeah," Erica said softly. "You handled it better than anyone expected. She's been texting all morning, by the way. freaking out because you're not responding. I sat back down on the bed. Can you send me everything? Every screenshot, every message. Already did, she said. And Tom, record this call if you can. I'm okay with it. You'll need evidence. I hit the record button without another word. Thanks, I said finally. You didn't have to do this. Maybe not, she replied. But someone had to. She's not who you think she is anymore. When the call ended, I sat there staring at the wall again, the reality settling like a weight I couldn't quite name. Kelly hadn't just insulted me. She'd been preparing to destroy me. I opened my email and forwarded everything Erica had sent to a private address I rarely used. Then I backed it up to a flash drive I kept in my wallet for work reports. Years of being organized had finally paid off that I glanced at the clock. I still had time before my next shift. I grabbed my keys, stepped outside into the cool morning air, and started the truck. As I drove toward town, a strange calm began to spread through me. Not peace exactly, but focus. If she'd been planning for months, fine. Now I'd plan too. Only difference was, I wouldn't hide behind wine glasses or whispers. I'd do it quietly, precisely, and she wouldn't see it coming. I parked outside the warehouse 15 minutes before my shift, still replaying the conversation with Erica. Every word felt heavier the more I thought about it. She'd said Kelly already had a lawyer, had been documenting things for months, twisting my every move to make me look like the bad guy. It wasn't just betrayal anymore, it was strategy. I clocked in, forced myself through the day, moving boxes, running checklists, pretending nothing had changed while my mind spun like an engine running too hot. By the time my shift ended, I knew one thing for sure. I needed legal help. I wasn't going to walk blind into the trap Kelly had set for me. That evening, I sat in my truck in the employee parking lot, scrolling through my contacts until I found a number I'd saved months ago. My coworker Mike had mentioned his divorce lawyer back when his own marriage fell apart. Said the guy was sharp, fair, and didn't waste time. I called. The receptionist answered on the second ring. Caldwell and Associates, how can I help you? Yeah, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I need to schedule a consultation. Soon as possible. She clicked her keyboard for a moment. We can do tomorrow at 4:30. Does that work? Yeah, that works. The next day dragged. Every hour felt longer than the last. Kelly kept texting me, apologies mixed with guilt trips, trying to bait me into coming home. I didn't answer. At 4, I clocked out early and drove downtown. Caldwell's office was in one of those old buildings with polished floors and yellow lighting that smelled faintly of paper and lemon cleaner. The secretary greeted me with a polite smile and handed me a clipboard of forms. When Mr. Caldwell came out, he looked exactly how I hoped he would. Gray hair, steady eyes, a handshake that said he'd seen it all. So, Tom, he said once we sat down, tell me what's going on. I laid it all out. The conversation I'd overheard, walking out, the call from Erica, the screenshots, the lawyer Kelly had already hired, everything. Caldwell didn't interrupt. He just took notes, his expression unreadable. When I finished, he nodded slowly. Do you have those messages from her friend? Yeah, I said, pulling out my phone. And a recording of the call. Good, he said, adjusting his glasses. That changes things considerably. She's been building a case against you, but now you've got proof of intent. That's powerful. As long as you have written or recorded consent from her friend, that call is legal and admissible in this state. One-party consent. He leaned forward, hands clasped. First thing, don't communicate with your wife directly about the marriage or the split. Everything goes through me once we file. Second, don't leave the house permanently. You've got a lease in both names, correct? I nodded. Then she can't claim abandonment. You moved out temporarily, which is fine, but we'll make sure it doesn't get twisted. Third, gather all your financial documents, bank statements, pay stubs, anything that shows who's paying what. You'll need that paper trail. We went through every detail: rent, utilities, my truck, her car, savings, debts, the small 401k I'd started 2 years ago. He made notes without pausing, occasionally humming quietly to himself. When we finished, he looked up. You've been carrying most of the load financially, haven't you? Yeah, I said. She works part-time at a boutique, spends more than she makes. I cover the rest. Typical, he muttered. You've got a strong position here, especially with that recording. Once we file, her lawyer will realize the advantage is gone. She'll want to settle fast. I leaned back, the tension easing slightly from my chest. What's this going to cost me? 1,500 retainer. After that, hourly, but I don't expect this to drag on. She won't want those recordings anywhere near a courtroom. 1,500. That was most of what I had in savings, but I agreed. When do you need it? Friday, he said. Bring the retainer and the bank statements. We'll file Monday. I shook his hand and left the office feeling lighter than I had in days. For the first time since that night, I had a plan. A direction. On the way back to the motel, I stopped at the bank, withdrew the cash, and documented everything with a photo of the withdrawal slip. Then I transferred the remaining savings into a new account in my name only. Something Caldwell said was perfectly legal as long as I kept receipts. From there, I stopped at a store, bought a notebook, pens, and a fireproof box for storing documents. My own record-keeping system. I wasn't going to let her twist another thing. That night, I called my supervisor, Pete. He was a good guy, former Marine, no patience for drama, but loyal to his team. Hey Pete, got a minute? Sure, what's up? Just a heads up. I'm going through a separation. It might get messy. If she calls or shows up at work, I'd appreciate it if you'd say I'm unavailable. You got it, he said immediately. Sorry you're dealing with that, man. You need any time off? No, I said. Work's the only thing keeping me grounded right now. Then keep your head down and stay focused. You'll get through it. After the call, I sat at the small desk in the motel room and started writing down everything from the past 6 months. Arguments, times she'd gone out, expenses, things she'd said that didn't sit right. I listed dates, receipts, even screenshots of texts. It wasn't revenge, it was self-defense. By midnight, I had several pages filled. My hand cramped, but it felt good to see the truth laid out in ink. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Kelly. You're making a huge mistake. I still love you. I typed back before I could overthink it. The mistake was listening to you talk about me like I wasn't in the room. Thanks for the clarity. Then I blocked her number. The next morning, I handed Caldwell the retainer and all my paperwork. He flipped through it, nodding. Good documentation, he said. The spending imbalance is clear. We'll have the petition ready Monday. She'll be served by Tuesday. That fast. No reason to wait, he said. The longer we delay, the more time she has to create problems. Once she's served, she'll panic. Stay calm. Let me handle it. I left the office feeling steady. I'd gone from blindsided to prepared in less than a week. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't reacting, I was leading. She thought she'd been building her case quietly, but she had no idea I'd already built mine. The next step would come soon, and I'd be ready for it. Monday came fast, and by noon Mr. Caldwell had everything ready. I signed the papers and watched him slip them into a manila envelope. She'll be served tomorrow morning, he said. Prepare yourself for messages, maybe calls, but don't respond. Let me do the talking. I nodded, knowing he was right. I walked out of that office feeling like a weight had shifted off my shoulders, not gone entirely, but balanced in a way that didn't crush me anymore. That evening I went back to the house for the first time since leaving. Her car was parked in the driveway, the same one she'd begged me to help make payments on, and the lights were on inside. I sat in the truck for a few minutes, just breathing. I wasn't there to talk. I was there to make sure I hadn't legally abandoned the place. When I finally went in, she was sitting on the couch, laptop open, a glass of wine half full. She looked up, startled, then tried to smile. You came back, she said softly. I'm just getting more of my things. Her expression faltered. That's it. No conversation? No chance to fix this. I didn't look at her. There's nothing to fix. I walked upstairs, opened the closet, and pulled out another suitcase. She followed me, voice rising with each step. You're being cruel, Tom. You're throwing away everything over one night. I turned, the zipper of the suitcase halfway closed. One night? You've been planning this since February, with a lawyer, with notes, with lies. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm walking out of something that's already dead. Her face went pale. Who told you that? I didn't answer. It was Erica, wasn't it? She said, her voice sharpening. That backstabbing. Don't, I said, cutting her off. Don't blame other people for your choices. She blinked fast, and the tears came. We can go to counseling, please. We can fix it. I shook my head. No. You want it out. You got it. Just not on your terms. I grabbed the suitcase, walked past her, and headed down the stairs. You're being heartless, she called after me. After everything I've done for you. I stopped at the door. What exactly have you done for me, Kelly? Tell me. Because from where I stand, It looks like I've been the one keeping everything running while you've been out there telling people I'm beneath you." She had no answer. I walked out and didn't look back. The next day, right after lunch, I got a call from Caldwell. "She's been served," he said simply. "Her lawyer already reached out. They want to negotiate." That was fast, I thought. "She knows she's in trouble," he added. "Between the recording, the witness statements, and the financial proof, she doesn't want this going to court." "What are they offering?" "We'll find out Thursday." He paused. "Just remember, this isn't about revenge. It's about protection." Thursday afternoon, I met Caldwell at his office. He walked me through the plan before her attorney arrived. A sharp-looking woman in her 40s with a briefcase that probably cost more than my truck. She laid out the proposal on the table. Kelly would keep her car, her personal belongings, and half the remaining joint account. She wanted me to pay off her credit card debt as part of the settlement. "Absolutely not," Caldwell said before I could even respond. "That debt was incurred for her own expenses. My client has documentation proving he already paid thousands toward it." The woman's tone turned tight. "My client works part-time. She can't afford those payments." "Then she can work full-time," Caldwell replied smoothly. "She has a degree, experience, and every opportunity. She's capable." He slid a folder across the table filled with printouts. Restaurant bills, shopping sprees, spa visits, all from joint funds. Meanwhile, my client covered the essentials. The lawyer flipped through the pages. Her expression hardened, then softened, then hardened again. "We're willing to adjust," she said finally. They went back and forth for 20 minutes. In the end, she agreed to fair terms. No spousal support. She kept her car and her debt. I kept my truck and 401k. We'd split the joint account evenly, and both cover half of the lease penalty. It wasn't perfect, but it was fair. When her lawyer left, Caldwell leaned back in his chair. "You did good," he said. "You stayed calm, and it paid off." "Feels strange," I admitted. 5 years ending in paperwork. "It's better this way," he said. "Clean and fast." Over the next few weeks, the paperwork was finalized. The court date came and went quietly. I didn't even see her that day. She signed her part in another room. When it was done, I walked out of the courthouse into a crisp morning sun, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel trapped. I felt free. There wasn't triumph or joy, just peace. A kind I hadn't felt in years in the days that followed. I found a small apartment near work. Nothing fancy, one bedroom, plain walls, but it was mine. I filled it slowly, one piece at a time. My coworkers helped me move in, and Pete clapped me on the shoulder. "You're going to be fine, Tom. Sometimes life trims the fat for you." He was right. A few months later, I was promoted to assistant manager. Better pay, better hours, and a sense of purpose I hadn't felt since before the marriage. Then one day, I ran into Erica at a grocery store. She looked different, lighter somehow. "Hey," she said, smiling softly. "How are you?" "Better than I've been in a long time," I said honestly. "Thank you for everything you did." "You don't have to thank me. You just deserved someone to tell you the truth." We talked for a few minutes before parting ways. It felt like closure. Life moved on. Kelly moved into a smaller place across town, took extra work to pay her debts, and the friends who once laughed at her jokes stopped inviting her out. I didn't feel satisfaction hearing that, just acceptance. I wasn't her victim anymore, and she wasn't my responsibility. Months later, I met someone new, unexpectedly, quietly, at a cafe near work. Her name was Lauren. No games, no drama, just easy conversation and warmth I hadn't felt in years. We talked about small things, then bigger things, and eventually about life after pain. One night, sitting across from her, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. The past had lost its grip. Looking back now, I understand something simple. You can't love someone into being honest. You can't stay in a place where respect has died and expect it to come back. When I walked out that night, I thought I was losing everything. Turns out, I was just making room for what was real. And maybe that's the point. Not revenge, not punishment, but freedom. If you stayed with me until the end,